I can't just be like, I want to draw something for that song and do it. It has to be like when I'm listening to it, like, oh my God, this is something that I absolutely like. I'm in this space. Like I
Yeah.
need to create this. And it's like this, like, and it like strengthens when I'm drawing it too, because I feel like I'm pulling it out of this like world and being able to like kind of stick it onto something. I use an X-Acto knife. I take a regular graphite pencil
Yeah.
and then I use an X-Acto knife to like expose the lead. And then I use a sandpaper block and I shave it down even more to make the point really long and sharp.
Yeah.
And that helps with adding like super small details. And also, if you use the side of it, it helps you shade very smooth.
Absolutely. It's almost like a paintbrush at
So
that point.
yeah, that's like my main thing that has helped exponentially.
Hey, quick question before we get started. Would you like to win a free piece of clothing from Snowman Films and a 30-minute chat about your creative journey with me? I know that I would love to connect with you, and I know that I would have loved to talk with somebody who had experienced a similar path when I was getting started. So let's make it happen. Here's what you need to do. Subscribe to the Conversations with Creators podcast, rate and review, and share it in just 5 easy steps. First, write a review on your preferred podcasting platform and rate it. 5 stars for good karma. Then, screenshot your review and share it on social media, tagging Snowman Films. Each month, I'll select one random winner to receive a free piece of clothing from our store and a 30-minute virtual coaching call with me. Again, subscribe, write a review, rate the show, screenshot that review, share it on social media, tagging Snowman Films, and get entered into a drawing for that one-on-one virtual session with me and some free swag. Thank you so much for taking the time to leave me a review. I really appreciate you, and I'm excited to see you in our one-on-one virtual call soon. Now, let's dive into today's episode. So the big question is this: how are creators like us, who aren't built for the 9-to-5, for the people who put their passion before them being comfortable, how do we turn that passion into a living that pays the bills and a life that we love? That is the question. This podcast will give you the answers. My name is Noah Mittman, and welcome to Conversations with Creators. Welcome back to Conversations with Creators. I am your host, Noah Mittman, and joining me today, it says Bagan on your name, but your screen name is Emily Rose, yeah?
Yeah, Emily Rose Art.
Emily Rose Art. There we go. So
Hmm.
yeah, I saw her on TikTok and reached out, and she's a super talented, like, detailed illustrator. Your like zoom ins of the detail in your drawings are insane. So welcome
Thank
to the
you.
show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about kind of how you got started in the journey of pencil drawing.
Yeah, so from a young age, my parents always fostered a very creative environment for me. So it was always kind of there, that creative energy and support. But I always kind of did it for fun more than anything else. And I studied entrepreneurship in college. That's what I got my major in. So I kind of knew I wanted to start my own business. I didn't know what. I was in an accelerator program actually through
Nice.
my university, and I was starting a tech startup, which is obviously very different from art. But obviously the same rules apply to any business. And that's when I posted my first drawing on Instagram, and it did a lot better than I thought it would. I'm
Nice.
super thankful for that. And then once there was just a few people asking, like, hey, I'd be interested in, buying this. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Like, you
yeah,
want
yeah.
something I made? And so then I kept making it and it just kind of snowballed. And then I just decided, like, I know art's more unorthodox. I don't know if it's equally or more risky than any entrepreneurial endeavor, to be honest
Right,
with you.
right. It's probably about the
But yeah,
same.
I was like, it's working now and I
It's
love
all
it so
risky
much.
unless you're at the 9-to-5. It's all risky.
I mean, and that's even a risk 10 years
No,
down
correct,
the
correct.
line. Exactly. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to roll with this. I've never like been in art school or anything like that too. So
Wow.
I just
You're
rolled
all
with it and
self-taught?
it's grown. I'm almost fully self-taught.
That's
I
crazy.
took art in like high school, and I had
Yeah.
to, what are they called? Electives
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah. That's
college
right.
to fulfill my, credits. And outside of that, everything has just been trial and error and figuring it out on my own.
Was it more YouTube University kind of thing, or was it just trying stuff out?
It was just trying stuff out.
Yeah.
I haven't really watched anything, to be completely honest. I just
Wow.
am like, that looks good. That doesn't look good. and I've just kind of
Do you have
stuck with
any
what
idea
works.
how impressive that is? Like, we're gonna all make sure if you we'll link all your stuff so they need like because obviously the context of like who you are, they have to see your work to like really see. So like at the top of the episode right now, if you're listening, go check out. I'll put her channels up here so you know what we're talking about because this is some of the most detailed, like especially with like your people and the muscles and all that. Like there's so much stuff that if you're just your eye is that good, that's wild.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. It's just practice and dedication,
Oh,
really.
absolutely. That'll no, I mean that'll get you. Listen, that'll get you further than any education ever will. Just
Mm-hmm.
sticking with something and having the experiences to go with it.
Very true.
Absolutely. So, how did you kind of you integrate a lot of music into your art? How did you come by that? And was there a particular like moment or experience that like birthed that idea?
Yeah, so just like traditional art, music has also been a super big part of my life since I was young. My parents are like massive classic rock fans. My mom is like the biggest Beatles fan on the face of the planet. So I've always been around that too, and I'm an only child, so I attribute a lot of my like imaginative kind of worlds to that because it's like you get bored, you got to come up with something. And so like music, and this happens to everyone. When you listen to it, it kind of takes you on this journey beyond the physical, and you can kind
Yeah.
of see all these things happening. And I'm like, it would be cool if we could kind of take that world and put it into some sort of physical representation, like a still image from this movie that plays out in everyone's mind when you listen to whatever you listen to.
Yeah.
And the first song I did that for was Age of Machine by Greta Van Fleet.
Nice.
And that was the very first. So that was kind of like the spark moment. I was like, I just really want to do it for this song because I love that song. And I did. And that kind of just started everything for me.
Wow. No, I mean that makes total sense with I love that like the description of that though. Like you're what where your brain goes when you listen to music, you just like, I need to take that and put it onto a piece. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's oh my God. That's the perfect way to do it.
It's the intersection.
Exactly, exactly. And that I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can see it in the work that it's, which one did the Greta Van Fleet inspire? Which piece?
It was the very first one. I've done a lot
Yeah.
inspired by them. But the very first one was like it's a statue and it's kind of split in half.
Yeah, okay, okay. I saw that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
cool.
That's the very first one.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, it's a solid first one.
Thanks. Yeah.
Do you have a specific playlist that you listen to while you draw, or is it kind of vary per piece?
So I kind of alternate between like three or four. I can't really listen to anything with lyrics when I'm drawing
That makes
because
sense.
I need to be like hyper focused and I'll start like jamming out and I'm like, this is not good. So I listen right now, I'm like big into like Norwegian kind of like throat traditional singing. It just like Viking music. Like
Yeah,
I'm
Viking
just like,
music's the
yeah,
best.
that, and then Celtic music
Yeah.
and then like
Oh, here, I don't know
classical
if you can
as
see,
well.
but on my wedding ring is it's Celtic knots.
Oh, so yeah, you
Oh
get
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just like very I like music that kind of makes you feel like you're in a movie,
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of so those three things and
Cinematic.
sometimes lo-fi too, but that's more for like when I'm brainstorming than when I'm actually working because I need to, you know, I
No,
just
I
need
mean
to
that
be in
makes
that kind
that
of like
makes total
mystical
sense. Like
realm.
the cinematic music that goes along with like the larger than life,
Hmm.
pictures like that or drawings like that. You have to be in the cinematic mindset, I feel like, to I mean, I'm the same. I love half of my Spotify stuff is like scores for movies. I
Hmm.
just including, the Vikings TV show soundtrack, which is
I
just
love the
so
Vikings
epic.
stuff.
Absolutely. No, that's sweet. How do you describe kind of the emotional connection that you feel between the music and what you're creating as you're doing it?
So it's one of those things where honestly it depends on the song. It can't really be forced, It has to kind of be like, oh my God, like when you're listening to it and you just are like, it's almost like I can't just be like, I want to draw something for that song and do it. It has to be like when you're listening to it, like, oh my God, this is something that I absolutely like. I'm in this space. Like I
Yeah.
need to create this. And it's like this, like, and it like strengthens when I'm drawing it too, because I feel like I'm pulling it out of this like world and being able to like kind of stick it onto something. So it's kind of like a full experience. I don't really know how to describe it honestly, but it just kind of grows as you
Yeah, it's a
progress, and then
feeling.
you have like a relationship with the song, but then also this like physical thing that you've created.
Yeah. So it
If
seems
that
like
makes
kind
it's
of
hard to describe.
ideas pop into your head as you're going, that because you're in the headspace of the songs,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
translates into an idea that you put down.
And normally it's like the first listen, I get like the overall idea of what I want to do, and then it really comes down to like finding out how to make that work compositionally. Because in
Yeah.
my head, as it is with I'm assuming most people, like this isn't special to me. It's like it's not like you're just seeing a still image, you know?
Hmm.
You're seeing like a movie on playing, and you have to kind of venture into that space and think like if I were a photographer and I was going to take a still image of this thing I'm playing, like what would be the best image? And then I that's what I put down on the
That's a
paper.
fantastic way to describe it. It's just the snapshot of what you're, especially for a drawing, because like I've heard so many filmmakers talking about, ideas coming to them in dreams, which like it's
Mm-hmm.
moving, it's a whole story, but you have to capture this in a single like frame. So
Which is hard sometimes because I
super
kind of have
hard,
to choose
super
like
hard.
sometimes like for example I did one drawing, the one with all the people that you were talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
that was just the guitar solo. So I was like I need to pick a part of the song in the guitar solo. It
yeah.
was like this is like to me feels like war. So I'm going to draw that instead of the beginning or the end. So I feel like I could have like sometimes like I could probably split these up into different sections, but I'll just choose like the most intense part, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fascinating. Speaking of guitars, well, I'm not sure if we mentioned, but what guitars should people try and find in your three chords Church of Rock and Roll piece?
Oh man. I mean, really any of them. I have
What ones stand
around,
out for you?
well, I have my favorites, like the Eddie Van Halen Frankenstrat. That one, it's really distinct, you know.
Yeah.
SRVs also, Prince's Cloud Tar is so cool.
Yep.
And then obviously like there's just I don't know. I'm looking at a little mini version of it right now. I just have so many that those would be, and then honestly, just like a classic acoustic guitar. I really like doing like the wood on it.
Hmm.
So some of them are like specific, like custom made for a musician, and then some of them are just famous guitar models, like
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah. The
yeah, like your
classic.
SE and your Telecaster and things like that. So
Yeah, yeah, totally.
yeah, there's a mix.
I'm gonna have to go on a scavenger hunt in that to find those, because there
Yeah,
are
there's a
so
lot.
many. Have you counted how many there are in that?
Uh, I have not. I would have to go. I have a Google Doc where
Yeah,
I had to like write all of them down and then, have an image of like the reference photo I was going to
yeah,
use for it.
that
And
makes
it's
sense.
29 pages long.
Oh my God.
So there's at
With
least
not one
200.
guitar per page.
No, no,
No,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just a link. It's just a link to
Oh,
the
I
image.
got
It's
you.
not the image itself. So it's
At
just like,
least 200 is we
yeah,
have. Yeah.
yeah, because
What?
it's layered.
We're gonna have some hardcore fan that like goes through and says, "I got the number."
Yeah, if anyone has a number, because I honestly, I don't even know. I have no clue.
That's epic. So switching gears a little bit, and are you a chicken fan? Are you a wings fan? Because you're
I'm
from
actually,
Nashville.
I'm vegan.
You're vegan.
Yeah, I
I'm
know,
happy I
I
asked
know.
before.
But I
No,
won't lie to you, Buffalo Wild Wings
yeah,
has like some wicked good cauliflower wings, which I know sounds weird. I know.
I will.
But I
No,
swear to
because
God,
I'm
it's
such a
good.
fan of B Dubs that I bet that I would be up for that, because I have man. By the way, can we talk about the moment that cauliflower is having? Like,
Yeah,
they got
massive
pizza,
moment.
they got wings. They're like, cauliflower was awful when I was growing up, and now it's
Yeah,
like
it
all
was
these
nasty.
things.
I agree. And I was apprehensive. I'm like, bro, like, I haven't even eaten meat in 8 years, but you're telling me that's a cauliflower wing? Like, that's stuff. And I tried it like literally 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I had it, and I'm like, this is elite. Like, this is good. This is
Well,
good. But I
because
did
you know
enjoy
what it is,
chicken wings.
because the B Dub sauces are so damn. We
Mm-hmm.
literally have in our fridge right now. We have Asian Zing. We have like four different B Dub sauces, because Walmart sells them.
Yep, Walmart is on top of it. They have
Yeah.
Taco Bell sauce too. It's like the best thing ever.
Yes. Listen, they may be a big bad awful corporation, but shit, they have some good stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, and then the prices. It's like you got to do what you got to do out here.
we don't have the privilege of having the Whole Foods money. We got the
I
Walmart
know
money.
that's actually what I say. I'm like, if I reach a point in my life where I can get my weekly groceries at Whole Foods, like that's the I
That's
made
your
it
that's your
moment.
made it
That
moment.
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can just be like, yeah, for shits and gigs, let's go buy tortilla chips from Whole Foods. If I can
You
do that
you
one
have
day,
your driver take you over to Whole Foods and do some grocery shopping.
yeah, I'll be like, oh my God, this is the moment. This is the moment.
What are for people that are also vegan and maybe visiting Nashville or live there, what are some underrated food vegan spots in Nashville?
Oh my God, there are quite a few. If I had to pick my top three, I would say the Wild Cow is my favorite vegan restaurant in Nashville. Just 10 out of 10 all around. Um, Gray's is also really good. Like Gray's as in like a cow grazing, not the color.
That's the
Um,
important distinction.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I didn't know what the hell was going on when I was Googling it. But that one is really good too. They have like nice wraps and like burritos and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
And there's this place called Beehive, and it's like a vegan deli. And it's really, they have a crunch wrap, a vegan crunch wrap. Like, how do you beat that? You just
That's
don't.
solid. Yeah.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
would be my top three.
Got to go check those out. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So, are there any what like musician? And I think you named a couple from the guitar piece, but any musicians or specific pieces of music that have really influenced your art?
Well, obviously, the start of it all was like Greta Van Fleet. So
Yeah.
massive. That was like the catalyst to my career. And then it's, I mean, there's so many for me. My top like ones with like the most imagery right now is like Hosier, Aurora. She's like a Norwegian singer. I love her.
Yeah.
And oh man, Mountain Joy is a really big one for me right now. The Lumineers are a really big one for me. Um, and then honestly, classical has been like one of the biggest. I'm totally gonna butcher the pronunciation, but there's this man, his name's Ludovico Einaudi, I think that's how you pronounce it. But he was my second most listened to artist last year. And I
Wow.
his music is like I would love to do a series just based off his music because
You
it's just
totally should.
classical really takes you. And Odessa too. Like Odessa,
Yeah.
hugely like huge cinematic universe going on there.
No, I think specifically with classical too, that it's really built to let your mind, it takes you on a journey. That's like the point of all the classical music is like
Hmm.
it's storytelling with instruments. So that makes total sense that it would be, you know, the way your brain works, that's a very like good genre to draw from, I feel like.
And Black Sabbath, I forgot to mention, but I'm in a big Black
That's a
Sabbath like
spread. That is a
but
spread. I
like
like that.
but anything like it
Yeah.
really if a song is good and a song is powerful then it is going to influence
I
things.
dig it. I dig it.
Yeah.
That's no, I mean, and I feel like jam bands would be good too. No, it's you just the wide because that's you're having fun, right? Like there's no
Hmm.
rules to this,
Yeah.
and it's whatever inspires you in the moment. But I love that the classical was in your top plate. I think actually funny enough, I think like a year ago, half of Hamilton was in my top plate because I was just obsessed with it.
Yeah. I mean, it just happens, you know?
Yeah. And my wife doesn't like musicals at all. So I was just
Oh,
listening because so I would listen to it in the car when I was driving because that was like my time. Uh, and no, I just yeah, it's always playing, and I'm sure, especially with how it's funny too, because like I can make a video in a day. You're drawing like what's the have you timed out? What's your average amount of time? Because these are long pieces.
it depends, honestly. It's gotten my drawings have become progressively more
You're right.
detailed
That's
as I've
great.
gone on because I just have this thing where I just want to keep one-upping myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Sounds like you're an artist.
yeah, and it's yeah, it's a little bit. But it depends on it. So if I'm doing something like the three chords piece, that's gonna take a really long time. That took
Yeah.
I lost like the complete track. It was anywhere between like 360 to 400 hours to fully finish that one. Um, so it's normally in the 300 to 400 hour range at this point. Now, if I'm
Yeah.
doing something more simple, like that's not as crazy, intense, it can take less time. I have a few
Yeah.
things
Like
coming
the
out in the
tattoo
future that
series or whatever.
yeah, I mean like I've done like posters and things, and
Yeah.
they're still like I'm still pouring everything I have into them, but it's not this like kaleidoscope image.
Yeah.
So, and those can take anywhere between like 50 to 100 hours. So I am like very obsessed with detail, and that's what takes the time.
Well, and I think that's probably where so much of the success on your social media has come from is, I mean, those up close detail shots, like when you're adding the crack into the wall, like with super light pencil, like that, those are just infinitely interesting to me. Like seeing all the things, because then again, you pull it back and you have no, like, you have to really study these things closely to see the level of detail.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a detail freak.
It's good. It's
I
good.
really
Like
like.
detail is what makes the best, you know? What actually, speaking of the details, what are some like specific techniques or materials that you use to achieve that in your drawings?
So, to be honest with you, I don't know the names of techniques. Like, I,
Yeah.
I I just know if it looks good. One thing that a lot of people like to comment on my videos, they're like, why does your pencil look so mutant and long and pointy and weird? I use an X-Acto knife. I take a regular graphite pencil,
Yeah.
and then I use an X-Acto knife to like expose the lead. And then I use a sandpaper block and I shave it down even more to make the point really long and sharp. And
Yeah.
that helps with adding like super small details. And also, if you use the side of it, it helps you shade very smooth.
Absolutely. It's almost like a
Um,
paintbrush at
so
that point.
yeah, that's like my main thing that has helped exponentially. And then all I use though, like really is the graphite pencils. I use smud, like there's these little things, could be totally messing up the name of this too, but they're like shading sticks. They're like little soft little paper that you use to make it look smooth.
Yeah.
Obviously a pencil sharpener, X-Acto knife, erasers. I have like two different kinds of erasers. I have a soft one and a strong one.
Yeah.
And then obviously like little splashes of paint, and that's pretty much the extent to what I
No,
use.
no, that's a beautiful like peek behind the curtain that this is a fully thought out like specific way of doing it that you are working on, and it's not just like, oh yeah, I sharpened it a bunch. It's like, no, you're doing surgery on your pencils.
Yeah, and sometimes they break. I have like an entire like jar of just broken pencils, and I'm like, God, because they're not like I go through like a pencil and a half a day when
Yeah.
I'm like in the peak of drawing something big.
Wow.
And that's if I don't break them. So I have like I buy like 50 pencils at a time when I go to my art store,
Yeah.
and I only use 8 and 9B, which are like softness to the pencils. And so I'll just like I feel bad because I pretty much buy all the 8 and 9B pencils they have every time I go in.
No, no, you're a hero to them. They're like, we're selling out of this one. Like you're
They
keeping
see
them
me
in
walk in, they're
business.
like, "Oh, there go the pencils."
They already know. It's like, can I get these in boxes instead of like
I
by
know.
hand?
I just grab them all and I'm like walking around holding them.
That's great. Oh man. So I think we actually covered my next question, which was it sounds like the song that you're using for the trip to the Fantastic was the guitar solo.
Well, the guitar solo one was Weight of Dreams, which is
Weight of Dreams, that's
like
right.
with all the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Weight of Dreams, another Greta Van Fleet song. It's the guitar solo of that song because that guitar solo I think is just great.
Oh yeah, it's a solid one.
Hmm. Yeah, it is.
So you were like really living, I mean, with you saying you're going through two or three pencils a day, you're just living in flow state. How is your experience of that? And are you interested in flow state at all? Like, cause that's a big thing for me with creativity and like staying in something is I think it's like your highest potential of like being a human is doing something in flow.
Hmm.
What's your relationship with that?
It honestly depends on the day because sometimes I'll be like super in it, and it's hard to like step away from it, and you almost have to be like, all right, go take a break, go on a walk, go eat
Yeah.
something. And other days it's just like I suck. Like I am terrible. Like it really is one of those things, honestly, where it's like I either am super confident with what I'm doing or I think that I'm trash. Like it literally there's and then I know at that point it's like if I'm getting really aggravated, I'm like, why can't I do this? Like I could do this yesterday and now today I feel like it looks absolutely terrible. It's like I know at that point I have to step away because I know that if I'm not feeling it, it's not going to look good. Like I have to be in the right state of mind
Hmm.
for it to look good. So, it really depends on the day. Like sometimes I'm really vibing, I'm really in it, and I'm confident. Other days I'm not. And you kind of have to, as an artist, I feel like you kind of have to honor that, because if you try and force something when you're really feeling like trash,
Yeah.
it's going to reflect in your art, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah. No, I totally hear that. And the only part where that gets rough is when you have client work that has like
When
a
you have
deadline.
deadlines, exactly. And
Like,
even
God
then,
damn
it's
it, I
like,
still have to power through.
yeah, then but it's still kind of the same thing. Like we all have bills to pay, and we
Yeah.
have deadlines, and you have to, of course, work in a certain amount of time to realistically live as a creative. But even if it's 5 or 10 minutes where you
Oh,
just take
100%.
a step back, it's like, you need that space, or else you'll take the pencil and you're like, I'm
Yeah.
done. Like, and then you're in some deep shit. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Don't your pencils are sacred. Don't break them on purpose.
Yeah. I know. It's too much money.
Yeah, right. You should oh my God, you should, so obviously you're saving all of them. It'd be really cool to do like like have a ton of them and then make like a resin table out of like all of the broken and dead
I'm thinking of
pencils.
doing something with
That
them.
would
I
be
call it a
dope.
pencil graveyard right now.
A pencil
I'm
graveyard,
like,
yeah.
another one bites the dust. So I feel like it would be cool to
That'd be
make
sweet. Yeah,
something
to
out of
honor him in a little bit. Yeah,
it. Yeah.
totally.
Hey there, fellow creatives. Conversations with Creators dives deep into the minds of successful filmmakers, artists, musicians, and all around awesome people. We are looking for some kick-ass sponsors to help us keep this show on the road. If you want to reach a tribe of dedicated listeners who are just as passionate about creating as you are, then look no further. Our audience is full of people who appreciate a good laugh and are always on the lookout for new ways to fuel their creativity. So, let's team up and create some magic together. We'll work with you to make sure that your brand is showcased in the best light possible. And who knows, maybe we'll even become lifelong friends. Just imagine, years from now, we'll be reminiscing about the good old days when we first teamed up to take the world by storm. Send us an email at noah@snowmanfilms.net to say hey and get the ball rolling. Now back to the episode.
I get weirdly attached to my supplies. I don't know if that's a normal
Yeah.
thing with other artists, but I'm like, oh, but this pencil was what I used to add the final detail. Like I can't throw that out. It's weird.
Listen, I always think about if I'm out in public shooting and somebody tries to mug me, I'm like, I'm I'm not gonna get rid of. I'm not giving you my camera. It's not gonna
Hmm.
happen. Like this is
All
my
right, so you
baby.
feel me on that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not even about the money. It's just like this is what I use to like express myself. Like
Hmm.
I will fight you.
Yeah. Break my arm. Don't break my camera.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. I've because I do a lot of action filmmaking.
Hmm. That's epic.
I've been straight up like running on a shot and tripped, and there isn't footage of it, but so I was like filming this like crazy huge capture the flag game, and I tripped and I literally dove. I like huddled my camera and dove and like hit on my shoulder and back. I got fucked up, but the camera was fine.
Oh
Because and
man.
it wasn't, it was just purely instinctual. I was like, my life before this thing that I'm, using.
Yeah, it's like your child.
Yeah.
We just had a pretty, well, I mean, it kind of happens a lot in Tennessee, but we had some bad weather a couple months ago, and there were
Yeah.
quite a few nights with tornado warnings, and one was super close to us.
Oh,
I kid you not, I grabbed my cats, and then I grabbed all of my art, and I literally laid on top of them like a psychopath. I'm like, if I die, cool. But my cats, of course, will be okay. And my art, that shit is not going anywhere. Like I grabbed them off the wall. I was like hovering over them. It was so dramatic. I was like, if I die, it's okay, but my art can't.
well,
Like
no,
it,
because like here's the thing, and this is something that I've realized too, especially with like video and the internet. Like, your work is what lasts forever.
mhm.
We're all eventually gonna be gone, but
Oh yeah.
like this is your imprint on the world. This is your what you've added. So of course that's sacred. Like
Mhm.
that's everything. Like being able to house my videos online and knowing that they're going to be there forever. Like it's so cool. Like we were
Mhm.
watching last night. I have a 6-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter, and I made a 1 year video for each of them, like right after they were born, and they requested to watch it last night, and we were just like, watching them as babies, and I was like, this is here for like when you're 40, when you're 20, like we're still gonna be able to do the same thing. So it's your work is what outlasts you, and of course you're gonna freaking hover down. I would be doing the same.
It would have been really funny and
Like
like
I'm gonna
looking
hold my
back.
camera in my
Yeah,
hands, so at least this I know will be fine, and my computer
yeah.
too. Absolutely, I totally understand that. So, we kind of covered a little bit, but do you have ways that you, when you're having an off day, other than like taking a walk? Actually, for me, YouTube's a big thing. When I'm in a kind of in a funk or I need to stop, all the like 20 to 30 minute format on YouTube that's like really popular is such a perfect like mental break for me. What are your favorite like breaks to take to kind of keep you motivated and overcome the
hmm
blocks?
Um, I it's kind of two things. I also really like YouTube.
Yeah.
And there's a few people on there who I think I find them quite inspiring the way they live their life. And if I'll just watch a video of theirs and it boosts my mood.
Yeah. Who are your favorites?
There's a YouTuber, her name is Jona Jinten. She's Swedish, so I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that yet
Okay.
again. Here I go with that. But she like lives kind of off the grid in this forest in Sweden. She's awesome. And then Eamon and Beck.
I've heard of
Um,
that.
yeah, they did van life and now they kind of alternate between like living in Canada and Mexico. Just like really positive,
Yeah.
inspiring people. Um, and then there's another YouTuber named Max, and he has a dog named Aki, and they do the same sort of situation. So I'll either kind of watch one of those sort of things, or if it's nice out, I'll go on a walk because
Getting
just
in the sun.
the sun
Yeah.
or the clouds or whatever, as long as it's
Yeah.
not tornadoing,
Well, I mean,
it's
that's straight up scientific, like getting out in the
mhm.
sun, especially when I feel like for creatives, we're in like, the little cave so much, like we're just working and there's nothing else and it's probably maybe dark in there. Like you need to be able to get out and get some
Yeah,
sun on your face.
100%, especially when you're like for you, for example, a lot of that's with a screen.
Yeah.
And I mean, I am staring at a dry, I actually had to go to the eye doctor because I was getting dry eye from not blinking enough. Like they fully were like, you aren't blinking enough. So
They're like, yeah, but there's so much detail.
yeah, I had to take breaks and like they wanted me to like squeeze my eyes shut. It was this whole thing. So I
You
feel
should
you.
get some like magnifying glasses for when you're working on the detail stuff. So you're
You
not like
know,
how close when you're like really in it and like fine detail, how close is your face to like
really close. Like I get really and I like cock my head, so it's like super like sometimes my neck will hurt. So when I'm
you're
just like
there for like three pencils.
it would honestly be so funny if I recorded it because I have no idea what I actually look like. It's probably mildly concerning.
There's a good TikTok idea right
Yeah,
there. A time
yeah.
lapse of
God, I don't know if I want to see that. I probably look like something out of The Hobbit, just like oh God,
That's
I
fantastic.
don't know.
So outside of your career, what's like a go-to hobby? What's your thing that kind of takes you away from it all?
Well, right now I'm training for a half marathon.
Ah,
So yeah, I've really gotten into running. I used to play competitive ice hockey and
I
I played
I
it.
I play beer league.
Oh, sick, sick.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
position did you play?
I currently play. I play 3 times a week.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. I got into it in 2020, or sorry, last year when the Avs, because I'm in Colorado, when the Avs
Oh,
were in the
congrats on
playoffs.
the cup. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I had so much to do with that.
Oh, of course. Probably like 80%.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's super fun and it's again, it's a thing that I can exercise is like hard for me when it's just, I'm a dad, I'm doing so much stuff, like just getting down in the basement to like lift weights is just not like I need to have
hmm
fun while I'm working out. So ice
Yeah.
hockey is like makes me sweat. Playing 3 times a week, it's back like competitive. It's super fun. I
Beer league
absolutely
is
love it.
fun. I
Beer
played
league's the
I played
best.
with my coach's beer league in college.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind
Are
of
you still playing?
transitioned from hockey. No, that yeah, so it was like the transition from hockey to running.
To running, yeah.
Because yeah, I've had quite a few concussions. And honestly, like I'm about to turn 24. I'm young, but
Yeah.
I have like aches and pains, like hockey related stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. So that I kind of now, like, similar to what you said, it's fun because I went from like, there's pressure and people expect things, of course, because you have a team and you're trying to
Yeah.
win. And to kind of just being like, the only person I'm trying to beat is myself. Like I'm just doing this for me.
Yeah.
And that's why I've like really fallen in love with running. So that, and then I'm like an avid hiker. Like I love hiking.
Well, it's the
So
best.
those two things. Yeah.
Yeah, hiking's awesome. Especially, there's some good trails in near Nashville.
Yeah, there's like, because Chattanooga isn't super far away from us
Yeah.
either. And then we have a few places that are closer, like Natchez Trace and kind of just little pockets of gold that you can find. I have an app called All Trails, and
All trails is the
like,
best.
it's literally like on how you can have like four apps on the
Yeah,
bottom of
yeah.
your phone?
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it's
one
one
of
of the
yours.
four.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's in the highlights.
it is right next to the music and the Google.
There you go. That's great. No, I mean, I live in Evergreen, Colorado, so it's like in the mountains. So we're literally
Mhm.
like, a 10 minute drive from just
Yeah,
insane
that's a
views.
dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We was it Saturday, so 2 days ago, we took the kids on there. So they've been learning to bike and they're off training wheels finally, and we took them up a trail and they actually like did some mountain biking, and both of them have had a good little bail and then got back up and brushed it off and learned about that. We had them
Hell yeah,
walk
that's
the
the
bikes up
spirit.
to the top of the mountain to teach grit, and it was a good day. And then we went out for ice cream.
That's impressive. And yeah, top it off with the ice cream.
Yeah, I have to, because they were
Mm.
like, we were like almost back to the car, and they were like, "Can we have ice cream?" And we were like, "Yes, you can.
Yeah,
You did such a
actually.
good job today. We're so proud of you." No, that's great. Hiking is solid. It's funny too, because you said you went kind of from the team aspect to just competing against yourself. I did parkour and like Ninja Warrior stuff for like 15 years,
That's hardcore
and
stuff.
I
Congrats on that.
thank you. And it's funny because like I can't take that impact anymore. Like I
Mhm.
can still bust out a backflip when I need to, but man, I see stars afterwards. Because I'm about to be 34. Not just, I know that there's people this age that are still rocking it, but like it's a lot of effort. And
Mhm.
something that I missed in that time was the team aspect, because it's very much just, you're battling your own mind to
Mhm.
get over fear. So I'm loving having, being back on the team and having some competitive, because there's you can be competitive with parkour, but it's like it's mostly just about having fun and
Yeah. It
against
is
yourself.
definitely a mental shift for sure.
Yeah.
It's different.
But no, I love it's fun because now you have it's keeping it interesting for you. So you have the
Mhm.
switch. I have the switch back to competitiveness, and it's just, it's keeping it fresh, and the main thing is keeping us moving, because
Yeah.
that's what keeps you healthy.
Yep. Especially when you're sitting at a desk all day.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one. I love editing and I make good money editing, but man, it's a lot of desk hours.
Mhm.
So I mean, that you kind of answered everything I got. Let me roll out the red carpet for you a little bit. Tell the people what you got going on in your life.
Well, right now I'm working on a brand new original that I'm going to be announcing somewhat soon. I'm in like the
Ooh.
blueprint phase, which is like the hardest phase for me, honestly. It's just like making sure that the composition works and I'm getting all my reference pictures and doing all my research and getting all that done.
Yep.
So hopefully in the next like 2-ish weeks, I'll be able to like put that blueprint out, and I'll be starting a whole new series because I did a guitar series on my last one on my
Yep.
TikTok. And then I'm doing a few other projects that I can't like say,
Yeah.
but those will be coming out in the next few months too.
The can't
And
say
then
projects are
yeah,
always very exciting.
they are,
Is it like
yeah. So
official NDA, or you just don't want to talk about
not official NDA, but
it?
just can't
Yeah.
like, out of
Yeah. No, it's
respect.
not there yet. Absolutely.
Yeah. But those I still have like five new things coming out over the like summer months that I'm like super stoked about.
That's a lot to
Because
look forward to.
I took like a month off of drawing after my last one that I did. So
Yeah.
back in the
I'm not surprised that the amount of work that you're like, my hands need a break.
yeah, because it hurts sometimes. I have a disgusting callus on my finger. It's so heinous. And it just, oh, yeah, no, sometimes it starts hurting and I'm like, oh, this is so disgusting.
Do you have to deal with carpal tunnel at all, or is it not quite yet?
Right now, no. I've been really lucky so far. I am kind of worried about that in the future though,
Yeah.
because it is like a ton of really small movements. So I do have a brace that like sometimes I'll put on just to
Yeah.
be safe. Because I've had wrist problems in the past
Yeah.
because of hockey. Um,
Yeah.
so
I
yeah.
got, I don't know if you can see it. I took a slap shot to the pinky last game, and
No,
it's nice and
that's
blown
the
up right
worst.
now.
That is like literally getting hit with a slap shot. No worse pain.
It didn't even, what's funny is like it didn't even hurt in the moment. You're just your hand goes numb for a second. You're like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's
this is
because
gonna
it's
suck in
cold
a bit.
too. Yeah, yeah. And then you're like, oh, I think I
And like
think
10
this
minutes
hurt.
later, you're like, oh yeah, there's the blood pooling.
There's the blood.
That's gonna be a problem.
Yeah. Well, it happens to the
It's
best
the
of
best.
us.
I'm okay with the bumps and bruises. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so fun living in constant pain. Like
It's great.
there's
No, I mean,
nothing better.
what do you think? What do you think 15 years of parkour was?
Oh,
Always sore.
you
Always.
wake
Like,
up in the morning and you're like cracking.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I make so many noises. My ankles are, yeah, my leg, if I just kind of twist it a little bit, it'll pop. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
but that's listen, that's called living, and that's called having a good time and using your body what it's meant to be used for, which is
Mm-hmm.
movement and being active, and tell you what, it's the people who don't move are in a hell of a lot more pain.
Yeah, it's pick your poison, I'm so lucky that I'm in a place where I'm able to as well,
Yeah.
in terms of like my job and my physical health and everything too. I'm just lucky that I can even run at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Actually, what I did have one more thing, which I always kind of part of this show is kind of the creative process, and the other part
Mhm.
is like making a living in a life. Are you able to do this full time? Where's your income coming from with all
Yeah,
this?
right now, yeah, I'm so lucky. Again, I wasn't expecting any of this. I did have a second job in the beginning of it. And now I'm kind of able to not
Yeah.
but that as long as I can keep where I am and
Yeah.
continue growing, obviously, and that's always up in the air, you never know, but right now, yes, like I'm not rich.
No, no, yeah, but I
But
mean, listen,
I'm able to live my life and like pay the rent and
paying bills with a creative career is basically being rich when you're
yeah, no,
starting out.
that's the thing. It's kind of like, and again, I recognize that I'm in like a privileged position. Like my family has supported me. They haven't been like, what are you doing? My
Yeah.
friends have been supportive. I've had the ability to go down that route in a much easier way than other people might have not been able to do. So I'm super thankful for all of that. But it is one of those things where it's like if you're able to do it, if you're able to pursue what you love, I think you should try and do it
Oh
because
yeah.
we all, like you mentioned, like, we all end up under the ground. And for me personally, this might sound like really morbid to some people, and I don't mean this in a dark way, but like my mortality really drives me. Like
Yeah.
I know that my time here is limited, and it's not like I'm thinking, oh, I have till 80 or 90. It's like I could literally die next week. Like
Hmm.
we have no idea, and because of that, it really grounds me. I'm like, I am going to do everything in my power, given the resources I have, to pursue my dream. Because if I don't, it's a disservice to myself, and I could end up on my deathbed next week, and I want to limit the amount of regrets that I have. That's like my thing. It's like I don't want to have this long list of what ifs in my
Yeah.
life, and I try to just cross that off, you know.
Preach,
And
preach, preach.
yeah, that's kind of how I see it.
Death is what motivates you to keep going. And yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah,
100%, because you are going to die, or something else may happen to where you can't do it, and you just want to take the time that you've been given to do this and make the most of it, which,
exactly. Yeah.
like, that's called loving what you do. And only a percentage of the population really gets to do that. So no,
Mhm.
I totally hear that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's not morbid, it's truthful, you know.
Yeah. Some people
you
are
know,
like,
as
Emily, what? And I'm like, no, I don't want to die. I just know that I'm going to. Like that's what it is. So it's like I have this little amount of time. Don't know when the clock is gonna tick.
yeah.
Completely like bye. Like so, just work with what you have and
Well,
go.
exactly. And like we don't, not to go like spiritual stuff, but like we don't know what happens after this life. It's all,
Hmm.
so why not take what we know we are, what we know we have, which is right now, and make literally just squeeze the absolute most out of it.
Exactly. And that's in
That's the only thing that makes
everything.
sense.
Yeah. That's in your career, that's in your relationships, that's in making lunch. It's just it's all you have like
Make the
ever. Just
shit out
that.
of that lunch.
Yeah, like make the hell out of that sandwich, man. Like make that spring roll.
Yes, I love it. Well, actually, so within the the moneymaker, what has been driving that for you? Is it Prince? Is it what's
It's
been making the
been
bills?
prints are the majority of it, and then commissioned work. So like I'll
Nice.
do posters and album art and things of that realm.
Yeah.
So it's kind of both. Because like a one time, like the amount you'll get paid for a poster and album cover could be the same that you would make in like a month of prints, depending on
Right.
the month. TikTok has been huge for me. Like it's like my biggest driver. I'm so thankful for that app.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really been TikTok that kind of, has been my communication method with
Yeah.
everybody.
Well, I mean, TikTok's why we're here
Mhm.
today. Like, I saw
Yeah,
you
yeah,
and I was like, that's amazing. And then reached out, like, it is, it's really, no, I agree. It's a huge thing. And the fact that you can have drive a full on business with it, like
exactly. Yeah.
that's
I
so
mean, and
awesome.
that was just like, again, it was one of those things where I'm like, what is going on? Like, I just got to keep sticking with this and everything.
Yeah.
And it kind of just snowballed into what it is. But yeah, I owe a lot of it to TikTok, honestly,
How
which I never thought
fast?
I would say. If you would ask me 3 years ago, I'd be like, I do not want that app. Like, I don't want anything to do with that. And then I realized that it was so much more than dancing and no hate to the dancers, like pop off, like
Yeah.
do your thing, dude. But
Well,
I
no, but
didn't
it's
realize that you could,
transcended. It's transcended.
exactly. I didn't know you could have a full on like business
Yeah.
rooted, your sales being rooted in your views and things. So yeah.
How fast was the climb to like when you started the channel? Was it like pretty quick, or did it take a while to kind of take off?
It took a while. Like I've been doing this for about almost exactly 2 years now.
Yeah.
And it really took off with the guitar one with the three chords.
Okay. So
That's when
you're about a year and a half, 2 years in.
yeah, I had like 7,000. I went from 7,000 followers to almost 50,000.
Yeah.
Just from that one drawing. And I think it's because I did a series. It wasn't just because up until that point, I would only do, and I don't know if other artists feel me on this. I'm sure they do. I have like this deep rooted fear that I'm going to mess up.
Mm.
So before, when I was first starting, I would say, I'm starting this. And then I'd be like, here's the finished product. Like I wouldn't show the in between because I'm like, what if and then I'm like, Emily, just stop with the fear. Like
Yeah.
get that out of your head. Because you gotta be willing to mess up and to fail and to be successful. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, just Emily, this and do it. So I did, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna start showing progression. So then I would show updates, like this is an update. And then my dad, and I attribute this to my dad because it was his idea. I was talking to him about it, and he's like, it'd be really cool if you like walked through the guitars that you're drawing and like, described them. And I'm like, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and that's what I'm going to do with the elements that I'm incorporating into my next one too.
Love it.
So I'm kind of
Storytelling
moving
behind
down the
everything.
series. Yeah, like so everyone knows really what's going into it, and yeah.
Well, I mean, what's cool with that too is like if you decide to do more on the guitar stuff, like I think a series on like why, each there's 200 plus videos there, but like a deep dive into why this guitar is special in this one
Hmm.
thing, and like putting clips in of them playing or whatever. Like there's a lot of stuff you could do with that. That'd be really, really cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of just getting more and more close to the drawing and just
Yeah.
showing more of the process. which I was really afraid to do in the beginning, but now I've kind of like chilled out a little bit about it because
Yeah.
it's like you're gonna mess up. You might as well
Well, and
own
even
it.
like documenting the mess ups, like that's something that
Hmm.
I've really like that makes when you can connect and that like makes you human of like, hey, I ran into this problem today and here's how I fixed it. Like,
I cried for an hour over this one today, guys.
yeah.
Like, I actually on Jimi Hendrix's guitar, which is at the very top middle of my Church of Rock and Roll, I drew the
Yep.
headstock reversed. And I didn't realize it until I thought I was done, and I already had it getting professionally captured.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like, I cried. I was like, I messed up. Like, how could I mess that up? It's literally Jimi Hendrix's guitar. Like, how can you mess up the guitar? And then, of course, I was catastrophizing, and I was like, Emily, you can fix this. And I was able to fix the drawing, and it was before it was captured, and everything
Okay,
was
so you still had
fine.
time. It wasn't like a mid photo shoot. It was
No, no, because it's expensive to get your
Oh
art
yeah.
professionally captured. So then you can make, obviously, it's for the prints. The
Yeah,
prints
yeah,
are,
yeah.
um,
I have a buddy that does like mythical drawings and they're just as complex as your stuff is. It's absolutely
mhm.
amazing. And yeah, it's a process to get like really, really high quality prints that
It
are even
is,
that you
it
can
is a
blow up or
process.
whatever.
And I didn't even know that. That
Oh
was
yeah.
another like big learning thing because I would love to have more like artist friends. All of my friends, almost all of my friends are creatives, but
Hmm.
most of them are musicians or photographers. And I don't have that many friends who are like traditional artists. So I've just been kind of figuring out on my own and in terms of like figuring out the margins and figuring out the pricing and
Yep.
figuring out international shipping and the cost of packaging down to the cent. Um,
It's a lot.
that was a huge
It's a
learning curve.
whole, I mean, that's the business. I mean, that's again,
Hmm.
a big reason why I'm enjoying the show is because it's bringing light to the, everybody wants to be a creative, but like you also have to understand some business and,
Yeah, it is
or
business.
hire
Yeah.
somebody that's better at it.
Hmm.
But when you're just starting out, it's just you. That's a trial by fire. If like, okay, cool, you got some money, you want to sell it? How do you get money? Where, how do you ship to everybody? How,
Hmm.
if I want this thing the size of a wall, how does that work?
Exactly. And I really like it was all just like, oh my God, I have this problem. How am I gonna move forward with it? And that still happens like to this day. I'm still like, what am I doing? Like, and then I have to like figure it. I have a motto. My motto in life is say yes, figure it out later. Like that is
That's
just that's my thing.
what
I'm
I
like,
live. That's what I
yeah,
live by.
yeah. And then I'm like, now what do I do? And then I figure it out. And that's just honestly been everything up until this point. Like, and it hasn't been super easy, but I'm like so thankful that I stuck with
You
it.
got the right headspace, and that's where it really like if you have the right mindset, it can take you as far as you need to go. Like if
Hmm.
you have the good mindset with the work ethic, there's nothing stopping.
Because as you
It's
know,
just a
I
matter of
mean, like,
time.
creativity, pursuing creative, because a lot of people will say, like, it's so risky to be creative, and it is. But when I was in college, we had an entrepreneur come in and speak to us, and he was talking about risk, because
Hmm.
obviously that's the big thing is risk, calculated risk. And he was saying, like, yeah, it's really risky in the beginning of starting, like, your journey of starting your own business. But then if you go into corporate America, which is totally fine, not like then 15 years down the line, you could be making too much and they'll just cut you. And
Hmm.
then you're right back to where you started. And it's like, that's risk. So it's kind of like figuring out what amount of risk and what kind of risk you're okay with. And
Yeah,
then choosing your path based off of that because nothing in life is guaranteed. It's all just, that's not saying be
exactly.
stupid, but it's like, think it through because everything is going to have some level of risk to it. So,
No, absolutely. Like nothing, as you said, nothing's guaranteed. It reminds me of the Jim Carrey like commencement speech where he said like his dad could have been an amazing comedian, but he chose the like stable job, and then 20 years later he got fired for no
mhm.
reason. So it's like, what do
Yeah,
do you want to do something that you hate and potentially lose it as well, and then you failed at something that you don't want, or you can, and to directly quote him, you can take a chance on doing something that you love.
hmm,
So no, I totally hear that and agree
yeah.
with it.
Such as life.
Inspirational. I love it. Well, no, I absolutely love your work, and thank you so much for being on and chatting with me. And this has been super super cool and eye opening. And yeah, I'm so excited to see what you got coming up.
Yeah, well,
Where
thank you
can
for
people
having
find
me.
you?
So I have like three main things. So my website is emilyroseartwork.com. And that's where I have like my prints and my contact and all of those things. And then my TikTok is Emily_Rose Art. And my Instagram is also Emily_Rose Art. And then my email is on all three of those different platforms as well.
Go
And
check
yeah,
her
like I
out.
said, I'm starting a new piece, a new series on my TikTok, and
Hell yeah.
I'm super excited to share it with everybody. So
That's gonna be awesome. I'm super excited. Definitely go check it out. I will have all of those links in the show notes. And thank you everybody for watching and listening. And I will see you next time.